Hey, it's Dan with Staffing Mastery, and I wanted to share with you a really powerful tool for breaking out of a sales slump. If you are running an agency and if you've identified that right now you really need to be bringing in more clients, or maybe you've got a salesperson that just seems to be maybe going through the motions or having a hard time creating a plan or just following a kind of a cadence that's going to bring them more success. Something that I highly recommend is just doing a short blitz of activity. Okay. I know a lot of times in my master classes, I talk about, the longer planned prospecting campaigns, and those are incredibly powerful. But every once in a while, you need a slump buster. You need something a little bit different that's going to break the pattern that you or your salesperson might be in, that can be, it's long enough to see measurable results, but it's short enough to where you know that you can just get through it, right? So what I actually call this is just a 2-week sales blitz, right? It's not a novel idea. It's not a novel concept. However, I will tell you that in my experience in working with sales managers and agency owners, for many years, is that when they do a sales blitz, there's really not much of a detailed plan that goes into it, right? And by now, I'm a planner. It's what I do. Like, I like to actually, set objectives and say, hey, this is what we're trying to achieve. And then I like to plan the work that goes into getting those, hitting those goals. And then I just like to lay the plan out. And I want to make sure everybody is aware of the work that needs to go into hitting the goal, and then just work the plan, right? Like, because the last thing you really want to be doing when you're actually working a plan is planning, because those two things typically run counter to each other. So I find that, when a sales, manager or an agency owner really wants to boost sales and they want to do a blitz, they usually just say, hey, we're going to ramp it up. I want you to do more calls. I want you to do more emails. I want you to prospect more prospects. I want you to go. It's basically just increasing the level of activity, not really being focused on what they're doing. And I found that really just increased activity doesn't always equate to desirable results. So I created something, in my planner mind where it's just a true blueprint for a 2-week sales blitz. And I try to plan, as many of the details as I possibly can as we're going through this. And I want to show this to you. I want to show you this tool, and it's something that you can just, you can download this PDF, if you like this and you're like, hey, this would be really good for my agency, I could get value out of it. You can just download the free PDF and you can use it, tweak it, to fit what you're doing and the type of sales that you do. But I just want to show you this concept. So I'm just gonna walk you through a couple things right now. First and foremost, just to set the tone on this, is for any of you that might have been through my any of my master classes, that I talk about everything as a planned prospecting campaign, right? So if you've been through my master classes, you're familiar with this. This is just a condensed 2-week version of this. So as you're watching this today on June 15th, if you were going to start this type of campaign on Monday the 20th, you would just put that date right up in here in this top box. And it's automatically going to fill the rest of the dates in. If you were starting today on the 15th, you can see it's automatically going to change these days. But I recommend always starting on a Monday for this to be a solid plan. So we'll start this on, this Monday coming up on the 20th. You would put this in, and ultimately what you do is you're going to take a sheet like this, and you can use your own. I'm just showing you an example so you see how the PDF that you can download plays along with a campaign like this. All you do is you basically have a targeted, focused list of prospects, right? Who are the companies that you really want to focus on bringing in over the next 2 weeks? Fill out all their information here, just get that out of the way. Maybe you can do that today, tomorrow, Friday, whatever. And they're automatically just going to kind of be here. And then you want to plan the work. You basically want to say, hey, we know there's going to be a call and an email. A couple of weeks ago, I shared some powerful email templates. One of those is a really good email template to follow up with after a phone call. It works really well in this type of campaign. This particular campaign that I'm looking at is really built to focus on 50 prospects, where you're going to kind of hit half the list on one day, half the list on the other day, do some LinkedIn. You can see it just basically flows through, the 2-week period of time. And there's an activity for the prospect list every single day. So, when you show up to work that day, or your salesperson shows up to work, they just know what they have to do, right? So this is the kind of concept for this. And if you see these other tabs down here, these are techniques and strategies that I've talked about in some of the other master classes. But I wanted to show you this just to give you a framework so you can see the dates and you can see the planned activities, and you can see that if we start this thing on Monday, it runs through Friday, July 1st, right? It's a nice blitz that would kind of close out the month of June, see if we can get some activity and get a little bit more momentum going into the second half of the year. But really what I want to walk you through, the actual blueprint of the plan, is going to be, this PDF that you can download. I'm going to walk you through this right here. So this is a Staffing Mastery 2-week plan. This is the 2-week Sales Blitz blueprint, right? And it really is everything that you need to go into a plan. If you're a sales manager and maybe you're not as strong at managing your people or building plans or whatever that is, this is going to do a lot of that work for you. So it really starts off, it actually always teaches the core concepts and what they are and what the goals are. So it talks about the cold call and what it is and what the goal is. A lot of people think that the goal of a cold call is always to make a sale. And the reality is it's really not. When you're interrupting somebody's day with a cold call, you really are focused on getting a meeting where you can actually have that business conversation where both people are present and having a discussion around their staffing program or recruitment needs, so you can move them forward to, qualified and potentially client status. Same thing with an email. And these campaign planners, they always have this in the front of them. So they always remind people, hey, what is the goal of each one of these things and how do they work? What am I working towards, right? So it's really like a maybe a glossary of terms for the type of behavior techniques that we actually teach in our prospecting campaigns. But it also starts out with, the actual goal. If you're going to have a blitz, you really should have some kind of goal that you're going after. You want to have something that you're going to be doing. Now, sales planner campaign, where you see where it says campaign start and end dates, this is where you would put your dates in. For the example I just showed you, it would look something like June 20th to July 1st. So this is a finite period of time. This is just a blitz that you're going to be doing. And then you actually want to put some targets in there. Revenue, GP, this is one of those ones where I like to always teach our salespeople the value, the lifetime value of a client. So let them know, what are the goals of the value that we're trying to kind of build through this campaign? How many new clients would we like to acquire in this 2-week period of time? Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 5, whatever works for your company and the list that you're prospecting, and then go in there and put how many target prospects are we starting with? Is it 50 like the example I just shared? How many referrals are we going to be asking for? Again, if you watched the video a couple of weeks ago, that I shared an amazing template and taught the trigger technique to actually ask for more client referrals. But that's a big part of actually getting new business, is being very deliberate and intentional about asking for referrals, right? How many meetings are we looking to set out of this? We want to set a goal for this. This is our best guess at this point. How many proposals are we looking to send out? How many clients are we looking to add? And then ultimately, what should the revenue or gross profit of those clients represent? And part of what I'm talking about doing a plan is this is where you're establishing your commitments. This is the commitment sheet, saying, yeah, I'm going to prospect 50 prospects. I'm going to ask for 20 referrals. I'm going to target getting 10 meetings. I'm going to target sending 5 proposals out. I'm going to acquire 2 new clients in this period of time. Those are commitments. You're committing to do these goals, and you're committing to this plan. And commitment is doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set in has left you. And that's why a plan is so powerful. This is that reminder that you can go up and say, okay, this is what I need to do today. So even if the day gets, a little bit wonky or crazy, like it does in staffing and recruiting, or maybe you're just not feeling like in the mood, you just have a plan to center yourself and say, this is what I need to do today. You don't have to be thinking about planning or strategy or tactics. You just have to follow the plan that you already laid out, right? So this follows along with that sheet that I just showed you. It's like week 1, call 1. Literally, I want to give some construct to what I'm asking a salesperson to do. If you have a seasoned veteran on your team and they don't need to, have calls scripted for them or give them sort of a loose script to follow, that's great. But a lot of times we're hiring new salespeople, we're training up new salespeople, and this is a great guide for them to get them started in that direction to say, hey, this is really what a voicemail should look like. And if you get a live decision maker on the phone, this is really how that should be, and kind of a little bit of the decision tree to say, hey, if they say no, if they say yes, how do you flow through those things, and give people, train them how to do that. If your people are not properly trained on how to do these very basic prospecting things, they're never going to be as successful as you want them to be, and I've seen it so many times where salespeople will be making calls and they just expect to get voicemails. They don't ever really prepare to get somebody on the phone because it's a rare occurrence, and then when someone actually answers and they're like, yeah, I'm the CEO, or yeah, I'm the HR manager, or I am the procurement decision maker, or whatever it is you're calling into, and you're like, and you have this moment, and if you're not prepared how to handle that fluidly, like an expert would be, or a professional, that can actually be that first impression that you leave with that person, right? One of my favorite statements around that is, you never rise to the occasion, you always fall to your highest level of preparation. And this is the foundation of preparation. This is not only is it a roadmap or a blueprint for a 2-week sales blitz, it's a great training guide for developing your salespeople. But this just tells you, hey, week 1, call 1, this is what you do. I want to take the guesswork or the thought out of it. It's like, I want people to be able to show up and just physically do the work, just kind of bring themselves to do this work. Week 1, email 1, boom, pain focus. Here's your subject line. Here's your template that you can fill in the lines. And these are some bonus templates in addition to what I shared with you a couple of weeks ago, and this just follows along with the campaign. Week 1, LinkedIn. If you're, this is what you do if you're not connected. This is how you approach that. And if you're already connected, this is how you approach it. And it's just a blueprint that you can follow. And this also works really well if you have non-sales facing people. Maybe you have recruiters that you want to get involved in actually, business development, but maybe they're not really trained in sales or comfortable with sales. If you give them something like this, it makes it a whole lot easier for them to do it. And now you're leveraging the business development efforts over the entire team, which should produce more results, right? Week 1, call 2, here you go. Same concept, voicemail, live decision maker. This is what you're going to be doing. Week 2, here's your email template. Week 2, call 1. So it just tells you this is the activity and this is exactly how you would do these things. Week 2, email 2, going to leave you alone. Sort of the close the files we typically do in our campaigns. We want to create some level of known transition out of the campaign. So the prospect that's been getting kind of contacted by you or your salesperson, a lot over the last 2, 4, or however many weeks, knows that it's going to be radio silence from you, right? You want to create that sort of transition piece, and then the last thing that we do when we're getting into our campaign review and we're looking at what actually happened is we want to say, hey, our goal were to prospect, 50 prospects. How many did we actually do? How many got moved to the sales cycle? How many were removed from the prospecting campaign? If we started with 50, maybe we actually moved 10 to the sales cycle. Maybe, 10 people were like, hey, I'm just not interested. Don't call me. How many do you have remaining that you have to put in the recycle file and get back to later? How many calls, had a voicemail? How many emails did you send? How many referrals did you ask for? How many networking events or networking contacts did you add to your plan? What your meetings, proposals sent, proposals total, meaning like how many are still outstanding? Clients did you get? Did you get job orders? Did you add headcount? You want to track all these things and see how well did you do against the plan that you committed to, right? And then you can also see the input goals. Was your salesperson, or were you capable of actually prospecting the number of prospects that you said you were going to, and did you have the result, the outcomes that you intended, and that's going to be huge for planning down the road. And then simply, did you achieve your goal, not achieve your goal? Did you do what you committed to do, or did you not? And this is just a good benchmark that you need to be aware of. One last thing, and I always cover this because this is so huge. This is another area where failure to prepare can really derail your sales process, and you can actually lose business on the objections. Someone makes a cold call, someone sends an email, they get a response that's that objection, it's that buffer, it's that, hey, we're happy with our other agency, or we only work with national companies, or, what is your pricing? Like anything that typically would be a type of objection or a barrier to moving the process forward smoothly, it is important to document all the ones that you get every time you get them, okay? And then when you actually get these, you take it back with the team, your manager, or if you are the manager or the agency owner, you actually sit down and you strategize what is the best way for your agency to overcome that particular objection, right? And then you train that. This way, the next time that your salesperson makes a call or you make a call, if you hear that, hey, we only work with national agencies objection, you don't feel defeated if you're not a national agency. Now you just go right into, that's your trigger. You hear that word. I'm like, okay, I've dealt with this objection. I'm prepared and trained to deal with this. And you roll right into your response, and we can get into more of those, in the future, but I wanted to share this sort of 2-week sales blitz blueprint with you, because this is a great tool if you just want to increase a little bit of momentum, you want to kind of increase a flurry of activity, or if you want to get non-sales people involved with the business development, whatever it might be, or even just a pattern interrupt kind of slump buster. If you got a salesperson that maybe they've plateaued or their numbers have dipped and you just want to kind of, switch up the plan a little bit, this is a great way to do it, So you can actually download that PDF just click the button below and it will actually, open the page so you can actually keep that as yours. Tweak it how you need to actually fit the needs of your business, but use it as a great blitz to create a flurry of activity. Again, I'm Dan with Staffing Mastery, and we provide content to help staffing agencies and recruitment firms grow their business. I hope you find this useful, and certainly send me an email and let me know how it goes for you.